Hello guys, welcome back to today's video. So now today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be focusing on a specific book or work within the spiritual community. Instead, I am going to be kind of giving you guys some information in terms of changing self, changing identity, changing how you view self. Because in the theory of manifestation, or in many, spiritual practices, the idea is when you change self, that is when outer reality begins to change. That's why the definition of manifestation is your thoughts create your reality. Because where are your thoughts coming from, right? Your thoughts are coming from your deeper identity, your beliefs about yourself, about others, but your beliefs about others kind of stem from self as well, right? So it all kind of at the end of the day comes back to self. So today we're going to be talking about practical steps in changing that self-image, in changing that identity. And finally, I'm going to have some words of wisdom at the end about what is going to happen maybe to you during this process and how to prepare yourself for it. So stay tuned and thank you guys for watching today. So meditation and doing visualizations are extremely helpful, right? So every day doing some form of meditation to really relax the mind, reset your nervous system, and operate from a baseline of calmness rather than one of anger or stress, sadness, all those things, right? So let's assume we're doing that though. Let's assume we're doing the meditations, we're, bringing down our stress a little bit, we're operating from a calmer baseline. These are the things you do once you have that started, okay? Because these things are a little bit harder to do when you are operating from a place of constant stress, being upset a lot, being in anger. So the meditation process is to really just establish that baseline calm that you can then begin to implement other tactics on top of in a way that it can actually be received by you and the mind. So your focus, let's say you're in extreme stress or you're extremely triggered by something, your focus needs to be to return to calm. So that's where meditation comes in, that's where breath work comes in, but don't try to do all this mental work when you are operating from a triggered place. That would also be a piece of advice from me. So step one. So doing simple things, simple tasks every day that are in alignment with where you want to be at. So the identity of the person you would want to be in, right? So let's say, I'll just use myself as an example because it's the easiest illustration because I know my own situation. So let's say I want to become successful at YouTube. I want to grow my community on YouTube. I want to be able to reach more people. I want to have new ideas and new things to share with the world. So let's say that's the identity I want to be in, someone who is doing that. What are small things I can do every day in order to kind of align with that identity? Because, right, my reality isn't going to reflect me having 1 million subscribers right now. However, doing simple things that are kind of in alignment with a reality that is someone with maybe like, let's say 10,000 subscribers, okay? So what does someone like that do every day? Well, one, they're probably filming. Even if they don't feel like it, even if they're grumpy, they're probably trying to film something. They're producing that content. So like a step for me right now is me literally doing this. This is my simple task in a day to like get into this alignment with the identity I would like to be in. Even though the reality is not reflecting that back to me, right? I don't have like 1 million subscribers watching me right now, but I'm still doing those tasks. Another thing that somebody, let's say I'm trying to be somebody who has 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So somebody who does that, in addition to filming, they're brainstorming ideas probably on a daily basis. So they're writing down stuff that they want to talk about. So I'll just give a different example, just so we have some variety here. Let's say someone wants to be a makeup artist, right? But they're not quite there yet. Well, what would somebody in that situation do maybe? What is something they could do on a day-to-day basis, like in alignment with that identity, the identity of someone who's a successful makeup artist? Well, one, maybe they're also filming content, even if they don't have, thousands like Instagram followers watching it yet, right? Maybe they have 100, but they're still filming it. They're still putting it out there. They're seeing opportunity in that. Maybe somebody who wants to be a makeup artist or is trying to align with that identity, they start, really organizing themselves, or they get they work on getting a makeup kit and stuff together for clients, even if they don't have any yet. They work on every day they're practicing either on themselves or somebody else. Getting their portfolio together, right? Like really doing simple tasks every day. And it doesn't have to be as big as, getting my portfolio together, but literally just practicing makeup. Well, let's say you're someone who wants to move, right? You're unhappy with where you currently live. You want a new house, you want a new apartment, you want whatever. Okay, so somebody who is actively in the process of moving, right? What are they doing on a day-to-day basis? Simple things, right? Simple things. What are they doing on a day-to-day basis? Well, one, they're thinking about what they want to keep and what they don't want to keep for their move. So even doing something as simple as walking through your existing apartment or home, looking around it, seeing, hey, I'm going to take that with me to my new home. Oh no, I'm going to leave this here, or I'm going to donate this, and actually start that process, right? Actually start giving away things that you wouldn't take with you into a new house. We all know it's that ugly piece of furniture in the corner, right? That you won't be taking with you to the new place. So get rid of it now. Operate in alignment with the identity, right, that you want to be in. If you want to be in the identity of someone moving to the other apartment, you got to start doing those things now. What else would somebody who's moving do? Well, they probably start organizing their existing space in addition to, getting rid of stuff that they don't want. They'd start organizing. They start thinking of how they're going to pack their things, right? So this is though, however, where I say earlier, this is something applicable to yourself and your personal situation. So really sit down and figure out, okay, what do I want? And what are the things that someone in this identity is doing every day? Because when you start doing those things, you really start to align with that identity, and you can do some of these things even without your reality reflecting back to you, hey, yeah, I have that apartment. It's already done. I literally have it. You don't actually have to see it yet in the physical reality in front of you to do these simple things. Because the little things that you do in your life, that is what adds up over time, right? So, want to make 6 figures a year? What is the person doing that? What are they doing every day? Streamline that down. What are the habits of somebody who does this? And these are just simple things that you don't necessarily need to have 6 figures a year to do, right? Someone who's making 6 figures a year, they might budget their money. You don't need to make 6 figures right now to work on budgeting your money. They might really know where their money is going, right? Not mindlessly spending. You don't need to currently make 6 figures right now in order to do that. Maybe somebody making 6 figures is really tapped into their creativity. Maybe they are self-employed. How can you tap into your creativity now without already making the 6 figures, right? So see, framing things like this, not framing it as, oh, it's far away from me because I don't currently have it. Looking at, well, what makes up the day-to-day life of someone who has that? What makes up the thoughts of the person who has that? What makes up the habits of the person who has that? So speaking of simple things and practicing and all this stuff, right? You have to let go of perfectionism in a way. And I can speak on this because it is definitely something that holds me back to an extent. because we think, oh, like I can't make the move until I'm perfect. I can't do the task until I'm better at it. I can't do it until I have more practice. I can't. And all these reasons why you can't, why you're not going to be good enough, and all this stuff, right? However, the people that actually get to where they want to be do it anyway. They do it even when they're scared. They do it even when they're not going to be perfect at it, right? Because perfectionism is pretty much an illusion. Because guess what? You're never actually going to be perfect, right? Do you think the people who are in stable situations were always perfect financially? Do you think they never had a hard time? Ever? It's not true, right? It's illusion. Perfectionism is illusion, and it just holds you back. It's pretty much resistance, and it holds you back from making the choices that will actually get you to where you want to go. What thoughts are you thinking? And then this is where the meditation part will come in, because when you calm the mind, right, you just immediately, you begin that process of the thoughts also begin to change, because you're working from a place of less stress and the mind has relaxed. Now, it's not always this straightforward though, right? Like we have our deeper beliefs about self, but doing these practical things every day will start to change your self-belief because you are doing things differently. When you're constantly in survival mode, when you are unable to calm the mind, identity work is, in my opinion, impossible. Because your identity that has been formed over the course of your life, and it's likely a deeply rooted thing. So in order to truly question the beliefs surrounding it, in order to truly see a different perspective, the mind has to be able to expand. And that is something very difficult to do when you're in a survival mode. And so don't pressure yourself to do this until you are ready. But understand that it is something that is possible. And you can start by just doing very simple steps. All it takes is just one question in the mind of like, why do I believe this about myself? Do I have to believe this about myself? Those two simple questions. Third simple question, why do I have to believe this about myself? And those questions may not necessarily hit when you're operating from a place of survival mode. They may hit differently when you are in a place of relaxation and really being able to contemplate this. So, I suggest carving out a little bit of space of time every day if you can, even if this is 5 minutes, and just be for a few minutes. Because I understand that's not necessarily something accessible to everyone. Not everybody right now lives a life where they can just go meditate for 2 hours. I don't even live that life right now. So I understand. And I just want you to know that you can change your beliefs about self, even if it feels impossible. Even if it feels like, no, this is how I've always felt and I'm always going to feel this way. I challenge that. And I challenge you to ask yourself those questions when you do take that 5 minutes. And not giving up when you don't see it immediately in front of you, right? Like understanding that things will be a process. Some things happen quickly. Some things take longer. And just instead of assigning that any meaning, just holding a belief that, hey, this will happen for me. This will happen for me. Because if it truly can happen for someone else, why can it not happen for you? And all the reasons that you might just immediately list out in your head right there, why do you have to believe them? So I'm just going to leave you off with these final words of wisdom because I have experienced this. So I want you guys to understand that this is something you potentially could experience. You might not, but you may. When you start doing this work, when you start changing the self, right? Start changing your beliefs, you start changing those daily habits. You calm the mind, right? Resistance can begin to happen. Resistance might look like you actually start seeing it out in your reality, and it actually is in front of you, and you can't even believe it. Like, you still feel like, how is this my reality? That's a form of resistance. The identity hasn't fully integrated. Another thing that could be resistance is negative moods, like going through really down mood spirals. Instead of looking at it though, like, oh, like this means something bad, just being like, this is resistance because I'm doing something right. This is resistance because I'm actually moving towards what I want. And so my theory kind of is, when you start doing that, when you really do start going towards what you want, the old energy, the old state, I mean, we don't really know 100% how everything's working, right? We can't. It's kind of beyond us in like a material way, right? It's something much higher. But we can kind of understand that when we start doing that, stuff starts pulling you back. So that old energy, there's still maybe some strength to it. Because imagine you've been in this energy for a very, very long time. You've constantly reaffirmed it to yourself. It's been like hammered into you, this state. It's a really strong thing, right? Like a state of being. So it can start bringing you back towards it in a way, and assign it what it genuinely is. Don't assign it meaning of, this means I'm not gonna get what I want. Assign it as resistance, because that's what it is. So don't fight it, because that makes it worse. The moment you start feeding into it, because I go through this, where all of a sudden all these things have begun to happen for me, and I am almost like, there's almost like this downwards mood, despite the reality now showing me things. So I know that this is something a little bit deeper and likely resistance. So now what I've been starting to do is, instead of fighting it, just neutralizing it. Hey, it's resistance. The more focus I give it, the stronger it's going to become. And I push through it anyway, and I still do the daily habits and tasks of the person who I want to be. I still, as best as I can, I try to think the thoughts of the person whose identity I want to be in. Even if it's hard, because that's kind of like what I'm trying to get at right here. It might not necessarily be super straightforward. It is straightforward, but it's not, right? That's like the whole duality of life in a way. It's straightforward, but it's also not. So being able to navigate both of those at the same time. So my desire for you from watching this, and what I hope you can get out of this, is do not let your negative moods impact your actions. Do not let your negative moods impact your actions that you choose to take. And don't assign things meanings that are not in your favor. You can change. Look at all of these success stories of people just on YouTube alone, right? These are just people who are filming themselves. Imagine all these people in the world who have like gotten to where they want to be, right? Why can't it be you? If you think it can't be you, it's illusion. It's wrong thinking. Even I myself, when I started this channel, right? One, I started this channel and I didn't even post on it for like a full year after I made it. Two, my first video I posted like back in December, right? I am in a completely different life. than I was back in December. And I firmly believe it is because I have done these things. Because I put things into motion by taking these different actions, by doing these habits every day, by changing the thoughts. That is how things around me have changed so much. I wouldn't be on here talking about it if I didn't believe it, right? Because I am that type of person that's like, no, like I'm not gonna speak on something unless I feel like there is like some backing to it. And my life is my backing. And that is why I am sharing this information with you, or my thoughts, because I do believe it can help you if you start to live life in this way of doing actions and thinking thoughts aligned with a reality you want before you actually see it in front of you. I do believe that this is the key to life perpetuating in the way you want it to, even if it doesn't always look exactly like you thought it would. Also letting go of that control or perfectionism of things having to be a certain way in order for you to be fulfilled and happy, because in a way that's also perfectionism. Being able to let go of that, bigger and greater things can arise from that, because your mind it's finite in a way, right? We can't perceive of everything. We can't think of all these different ways that things can happen for us. We're not capable of doing that. So when we let go of the how something's gonna happen, and we start tuning into just the what, that's how we achieve these beautiful lives. That's how we, have all these beautiful experiences. And I'm going to leave you off with a quote from a book. So the book is called Conversations with God, and I highly recommend that you read it for yourself. However, this is a quote from the book. So, have you ever seen anything more perfect than a snowflake? Its intricacy, its design, its symmetry, its conformity to itself, and originality from all else. All are a mystery. You wonder at the miracle of this awesome display of nature. Yet if I can do this with a single snowflake, what think you I can do, have done with the universe? Were you to see the symmetry of it, the perfection of its design, from the largest body to the smallest particle, you would not be able to hold the truth of it in your reality. Even now, as you get glimpses of it, you cannot yet imagine or understand its implications. Yet you can know there are implications far more complex and far more extraordinary than your present comprehension can embrace. Your Shakespeare said it wonderfully. There are more things on heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Pretty much the basis of that, like what I just said. There are more things in heaven and earth than dreamt of in our philosophy. Holding that knowing will also change how you look at life. Think about that. Have a good rest of your week, guys, and thank you for watching.